Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working our way through the poems and we're currently still working on A Lover's Complaint. Today we've got sonnets 9 through 12, and what we've learned so far in sonnets 1 through 8 is the narrator has observed that there's a woman who's a hot mess and she's tearing things up and throwing them into the river. And in stanza number 9 we get to meet a new character. Stanzas 9 through 12 go, "A reverend man that grazed his cattle nigh, sometime a blusterer that the ruffle knew, of court, of city, and had let go by the swiftest hours, observed as they flew, toward this afflicted fancy fastly drew, and, privileged by age, desires to know, in brief, the grounds and motives of her woe. So slides he down upon his grained bat, and, comely distant, sits he by her side, when he again desires her, being sat, her grievance with his hearing to divide, if that from him there may be aught applied which may her suffering ecstasy assuage, 'tis promised in the charity of age. Father," she says, "though in me you behold the injury of many a blasting hour, let it not tell your judgment I am old. Not age, but sorrow over me hath power. I might as yet have been a spreading flower, fresh to myself, if I had self applied love to myself, and to no love beside. But woe is me! Too early I attended a youthful suit. It was to gain my grace of one by nature's outwards so commended that maiden's eyes stuck all over his face. Love lacked a dwelling and made him her place. And when in his fair part she did abide, she was new lodged and newly deified." So dun dun dun, we're finally getting to the actual lover's complaint, or at least the beginnings of it. So stanzas 9 and 10, we've got an old man who happens by and sees this woman who's been tearing things up and her hair's a mess and all of that. But he's a sort of a man about town. He knows some things, so he stops and asks her what's wrong. And he sits down next to her, and it's cute. The narrator points out that he sits down at an appropriate distance to see if he can offer her any help, because he is an old man and therefore knows things. So whatever's wrong with her, he might be able to, offer some advice. And she's like, okay, first things first, I'm not old. I'm young. I look terrible, but I'm actually young. It's just because I've been so sad that I look so haggard, and I should have taken better care of myself. I should have loved and honored myself more, but I didn't, because there was this guy, and he was so pretty. He was so pretty. So yeah, she was in love with a very beautiful man who everybody else was in love with. She says that love lacked a dwelling and took up residence in his body. So this was a very, very good-looking man. Now, is this supposed to be the same fair youth that Shakespeare had been writing about? Maybe, maybe not. It could just be a totally fictional thing. And it could be, completely through the eyes of the woman telling the story that this guy is so good looking. Because, when you fall for somebody, they become much better looking than they might be to people who don't like that person. But she does say that the personification of love was newly deified, like became a god when it took up residence in this guy's body. So we're starting to figure out where the lover's complaint bit might come from. At least we've got the love part. This poor woman who's been ripping up tokens and throwing them in the river was in love with a very beautiful man. And we can guess, based on the state of her and the title of the poem, that maybe things didn't go so well. But we'll find out. We'll find out as the poem progresses. So come on back tomorrow for the next 4 stanzas. I'll see you then. Mwah.